So we are talking about appositives and appositive phrases today, and I'm feeling as though we need a little bit of inspiration and motivation for a better work ethic. So I want you to think about this clip and picture yourself as Elle Woods, who is played by Reese Witherspoon, and try not to be her.
I assume all of you have read pages 1 through 48 and are now well versed in subject matter jurisdiction. Who can tell us about Gordon versus Steele? Let's call on someone from the heart, sir. Al Woods.
Actually, I wasn't aware that we had an assignment.
Vivian Kensington, do you think it's acceptable that Ms. Woods is not prepared?
No. I don't.
Would you support my decision to ask her to leave class and to return only when she is prepared?
Absolutely.
So on Monday, when we have Monday Fun Day over Appositives, make sure that you're ready to go with these notes. And I know that Appositives are most likely something you've talked about in the past, so hopefully this is a little bit of a review, but I'm sure that everybody needs some refresher. Okay, so just starting out with what is an appositive? It is a noun, phrase, or clause that comes after a noun or pronoun in order to rename it or to better explain it. So there's a little comic strip down here. It says, "Isn't that the Sphinx, an Egyptian icon?" So Sphinx is the noun, and then an Egyptian icon is a prepositional phrase that comes after the Sphinx to explain what the Sphinx is. So an appositive is a noun, noun phrase, or noun clause that comes after a noun or pronoun in order to rename it or better explain it. And then over here, that is she, the mythological lioness with a human head. And so here, the mythological lioness with a human head explains who she is, and that is another appositive phrase. Okay, so just a regular appositive is when you just have one noun or pronoun replacing or renaming the noun or pronoun that came before it. Like with the example, mistletoe, a parasite, has poisonous berries. But an appositive phrase is when you have more than just one word that is explaining the noun or pronoun that comes before it. This is an example. Aunt Mary loves both her pets, a full-size poodle and an alley cat. And then here is another example in the picture. Her new necklace, the one she's been showing off, is a fake that will turn her neck green. Okay, so the one she's been showing off is an appositive explaining what the necklace is, or which one in particular they're talking about. Okay, so accentuating the appositive, this is just a little bit more explanation with another example or an analogy, a way to think about it. An appositive, which is a noun or noun phrase placed next to another noun, accentuates that noun by providing more information. So when you use an appositive, you are accentuating or drawing more attention to the noun in that sentence. A sentence without an appositive is like a car without any detail. Now, I'm not saying that you want every single sentence to have an appositive, but if you want to draw attention to a noun in a particular sentence, an appositive is a great way to do that. So, just to illustrate, which of these sentences is more interesting to you? Mrs. Kruse assigned homework, or Mrs. Kruse, an old hag, assigns terrible homework, packets with staples. Okay, so that second example to me is much more entertaining and it provides some specific detail, so it's more fun to read. So why do we use appositives? We use them to add more information to make our writing specific and to make our writing interesting. Okay, now there's something called a non-essential phrase and an essential phrase. So a non-essential appositive is a noun phrase whose absence wouldn't affect the clarity or the meaning of the sentence. Okay, so without a non-essential phrase or a non-essential appositive, the sentence can stand alone and it's still just as strong. If you take that phrase out, it's no big deal. So for example, a global icon, Mr. T is known to his family members as Lawrence to read. So take out a global icon and the sentence in black there is still just as strong. So that's non-essential. The noun phrase in red is non-essential because the sentence would mean exactly the same without it. It's not suffering one bit. And then on the opposite side of that, an essential appositive is a noun phrase whose absence would make a major impact on the meaning of the sentence. Like, my friend Tom founded MySpace. If you take out Tom, then it's very vague who you're talking about that founded MySpace. Friend is a very vague word. You have lots of friends, so if we want to know which friend in particular, then we need to know that his name is Tom. So here's one more example of an essential appositive. Tumblr's leading grammar blog, the University, has a throng of loyal followers. So here, the University is an appositive renaming the blog, and they deem it important enough that it's essential, meaning there's no commas around it because you can't take it out of the sentence. It would affect the meaning. Okay, so here's another cartoon that I thought was funny. So you may or may not. Hey noun, what's your occupation? Well, verb, that's non-essential info, so you should ask the new guy. Where is he? I'm a-comin'. Wait, for me, a wheeze. Sigh. Are you an artist? A chef? No, Brad, is a pilot. Are you sure? I'm a positive. And then it says, Brad, the pilot, sneezed. Okay, so appositives at the beginning of a sentence. The rule is when an appositive starts a sentence, it should be followed by a comma, like in this example. A hardworking student, Kylie earned straight A's for first semester. So that's non-essential. We don't need it, so it's set apart by commas. And a hardworking student is an appositive phrase that explains who Kylie is. So put a comma when the appositive starts the sentence. If the appositive is in the middle, then you have to think, is it non-essential or is it essential? If it's non-essential, you want to set it apart by commas, like in this example. John Kennedy, the popular U.S. president, was known for his eloquent and inspirational speeches. Almost everybody knows who John Kennedy was, and so the popular U.S. president is just extra information that we really don't need there. But if you reword the sentence and you say the popular U.S. president John Kennedy was known for his eloquent speeches, then you need John Kennedy there because there's a lot of popular U.S. presidents and unpopular ones for that matter. Anyway, so in this example, John Kennedy is an essential appositive, so you do not set it apart by commas. And then finally, if you have appositives at the end of a sentence, then you should usually use a comma before it, unless for some reason it is essential, then the same rule would apply. So for this example, Romeo is totally different from Odysseus, an unfaithful husband. So here, an unfaithful husband is extra information. We don't necessarily need it in the sentence, and it's providing more information about Odysseus. And you guys will read about him next semester.
Don't ask.
Wasn't gonna.
I'm taking full control. I'm making on my own this time.
Is she reading books? You filed a claim. What next? Ms. Woods?
Don't you need to have evidence? Meaning you need reasonable belief that your claim should have, like, evidentiary support?
And what kind of evidentiary support does this case require?
Okay, so you guys are going to college, and so this is just a reminder that college professors are not impressed when people come to class totally unprepared. So you might as well start getting ready now and developing the habits that you're going to need at the university level and in your career someday. And that concludes this week's segment of Monday Fun Day with a bonus motivational lecture.